Hello, this is Alex from Planet3 and this is going to be the installation instructions video for the new Planet3-E chip for Bosch. This is for the third and fourth generation of Bosch with the square connectors. This is not the video for the smart system. So what are you getting in the bag? This is the bag. In the bag there's the chip and it's going to come plugged into itself like this. Now, why does it come plugged into itself? This is so we can indicate the most important thing, which is the alignment of the color codes. Red has to be aligned with red, yellow with yellow, okay? Same with the speed sensor connector. You have red with red and black with black. Do not fear, because the connectors do have a coding, and you will notice that there's a little hole over here and there is a little clip over here. So this goes inside like that. It's going to be the same on the motor side. If you try to plug in the connector oriented the wrong way, you cannot really do it. I mean, you can if you're going to be a maniac and just push it like it's a woman. I'm just kidding. So be gentle with it, like with moose meat and Swedish ladies. If it goes in, it goes in. If it doesn't, you're doing it wrong. Try to spit on it.
Huck to and spit on that thing.
Same with this one. Okay, speed sensor. Now, you might be wondering, why is this maniac talking about the color coding if we cannot plug it in the wrong way? Well, it's for a very simple reason. If you do manage to plug it in the wrong way and you turn on your bike, you will burn the Planet3 chip. That's so that you don't do any damage to the bike. But then the chip is gone and I will know that you did it because it doesn't die for any other reason other than that. So now we're going to move on to the bike that's going to be helping us today. This is our bike. This is the 2021 Focus Aventura Squared 6.8 or whatever. The bike almost doesn't matter because it's the drivetrain that we are de-restricting. So it doesn't matter which display it has, which line the motor is the performance line, active line, cargo line, CX, non-CX, SX, whatever. If the connectors are square, the chip is going to work, regardless of your screen setup or the motor. Now, your activity in installing the chip is going to depend on what the manufacturer did to cover up the motor. For example, this one looks to have been intelligently made, and the whole cover on the left side, which is the non-driving side, can be taken off without taking off the crank arm, which is great for us. This is going to be a very quick procedure. Also, your tools required are going to depend on which kind of bolts are on the bike. On this bike, it's a Torx 20 head, and you just get a Torx 20 Allen key or a screwdriver handle with a Torx 20 bit. I don't know about you, but I like to help myself by doing all of the e-bike work with the bikes flipped upside down because they're rather heavy and I don't like taking out the bike stand. So we're gonna do it my way. The bike flipped upside down, you can of course put some blowjob knee pads underneath the handlebars, or Pilates somethings. And please do not disturb your dog while she sovereignly rules the couch. And now we're gonna go start taking off the engine cover. All right, so I believe this is a Torx 20, and it is. So one Torx 20 bit. You just start unscrewing until the bolt stops gaining distance. And please do not do anything with force, okay? Only two bolts are holding this in place. The other ones are holding the motor, so they do not have to go. The cover is actually held by some clips on the front, so I see that it's going to have to go back and out. So I'm going to rotate the crank arm into this position. Stop it. Then pop this off, and you see how they made it. You don't even have to remove the pedal. Super nice. These are going to be your sockets or connectors on the non-drive side of the motor. Each Bosch motor is going to be identical because they all come out of the same mold. This is the main power connector, this one is your speed sensor, and this one is the display. All of the connectors towards the rear wheel are the lights and other bullshit, okay? So you will unplug this one and you will unplug the display connector. And then from your Planet3, you take these two male connectors. Obviously, this one goes in here. Be mindful of the orientation. And then the speed sensor one goes up here. Reds are always going to be looking towards the rear wheel. That's something that you can remember. Even if your bike is upside down or the right side up in a bike stand, red wires towards the rear wheel. And then you take the female connectors from Planet 3 and then you plug in the existing ones into those. Be mindful of the wire's orientation. Once you have plugged everything together, I would advise you not to close everything up and think that you are the bee's knees. I would like you to try and turn on the bike and look at the display. Once you verify that the bike turns on and there are no problems, then we will close the motor cover. Alrighty then, now that you have verified that the bike works and everything is okay, it's time to cover this crap back up. Which brings us to the last step where you can potentially do damage. The point here is you have to take your time. You might be sweating like a whore in church, like I am now, under the reflector. The point is this. Follow all the cables, okay? Look how they're coming from over here. If you pulled any of this out, you will not be able to cover it, okay? The motor cover needs to be able to snap back into place without almost any resistance, and it cannot be bending back and you have to press it on and then you tighten the screw while you hold it, okay? That means you've done something wrong. So all of the cables back in place. Then it might be a good idea to look at your motor cover. For example, this one has a lot of room over here, and the only important thing is that I do not pinch any of the wires between this place where the bolt goes and the receiving end of that bolt. Because if you pinch any of the red and black wires, power gone. If you pinch the red and black wires on the speed sensor, it's not going to read speed, okay? So take your time. What I will try and do is fit everything like this, because there is space. Verify that all the cables are in place. Verify that over here the cylindrical part is going to sit and none of the wires are in place. And then you have to be an octopus and basically try to fit the cover back while at the same time holding all of this in place. And then if you're a consummate professional, you will fuck it up like me. So obviously we can see some of the wires over here. So pull it back slightly, push those up with your finger and try to cover it back. You see, this is the amount of movement that I'm getting until it's fully seated, which is like less than a millimeter. Verify once more that you're not pinching anything and that the cover is snapping back in place. The important thing is not to pinch the chip against any of the fins, because the motor will get rather hot. And even though the chip is overmolded and protected up to like 80 degrees, over time, temperature and creep will do its thing. This looks perfect. I'm gonna insert one of the bolts back. Go gently. They don't usually thread into steel, so just finger tight is enough, okay? I mean, even if they thread into steel, you are squeezing the plastic underneath the bolt head. So the plastic wants to creep over time, so don't let it. I want to give it a super nice. One more note, even if you didn't have a motor cover, the way that the connectors are made and the way that the wires are made is that everything is insulated. Basically, this bike should be, I mean, so long as it had seals around the bearings of the motor, you should be able to dip it underwater, and that's how I tested my connectors. With everything connected, you can dip it underwater and there's gonna be no problems. All right, with everything buttoned up and nothing sticking out and everything looking perfect and the bike being able to turn on, we're gonna move on to the next step, which is going to be on the application side. All right, so with the bike turned on, you would head over to your relevant application store. In there, you will type Planet3, Planet3, and search. Scroll down through the sponsored bullshit, and this is the Planet3-E application. Click download, and then click open. You have to give it permissions for Bluetooth and I think even location, because it needs internet and location for the Bluetooth low energy protocol. We don't use any of the info, but the protocol itself won't work unless you give it the permissions. Then enter your email address. Submit. You will get a code for the initial authentication. You see, 762255.
762.255. Submit.
And you're in there. Next, you will click the device connection menu. Clear paired devices, and this is going to be your chip. It's either going to be called ebike_BT or Planet3. Just click on it. When it says connected, go back to home. Now, the restriction is obviously turned off at the moment. I usually ship the chips with the restriction turned on. But before that, go to the tune menu and go item by item. If you're in Europe, use kilometers per hour, or in USA or United Kingdom, use mph. Regional speed limit. Please read this warning. I will not do it on video. This is where you choose your actual regional speed limit. This is not what you would like it to be. This is what it actually is. For Europe, it's 25. Desired speed limit is where you would set your actual desired speed limit if you don't want it to be completely de-restricted. So you could set this to, let's say, 35 or 41 or whatever, okay? Wheel circumference, that's the important one. You will click the Find My Wheel Size. What the chip will do now, it will send 10 signals to the rear wheel, and you can see that it is writing the values over here, and it said 24 and then 20, which means it would be 2420 millimeters in wheel circumference. Just let it do its thing. Okay, so it says 2414. So that's your wheel size. Once that's done, please click Save. For the Bosch systems, there's this option of Bosch speed sensor placement. There's a little information button where you can read what's going on. My lovely assistant is now going to spin the rear wheel by hand, and you will look at the display of speed over here. If anything like this is happening on your bike, this is what the Bosch speed sensor placement will do. Okay, so as soon as I do this and click Save, he's going to spin the rear wheel with a similar speed now. Spin it faster, SA. Okay, so it's reading speed normally. It will monotonously go down. There's no wild oscillations, okay? This will depend on the frame manufacturer, so please try both, because I will send them with the normal mode, and if the speed display looks weird, you know what to do. Okay, gear ratios. Doesn't really matter, there are some default values. Front chainring size, and the number of gears on the cassette, okay? This bike is a 12 speed. This matters because Bosch uses them to track your cadence and how we lie to the motor and the display and blah, blah, blah. It has to be set correctly. And here you can change your device name. Once you change the device name, I would advise to actually change it. Don't call it something like e-bike de-restriction mad chip or whatever. Call it earbuds or call it pink dildo or whatever. And if you enter pink dildo and click Save, you will see a message on the bottom say that device name will be changed on the next power cycle, which means you have to turn off the bike and turn it back on for the device to be actually renamed, okay? That's the tune menu. In the diagnose menu, the most important thing is the limp mode status. That's the distance comparison, blah, 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 blah. There is a video here. Please watch the video, because I don't want to go through all of these options in this video because it's going to be too long. It's going to be sent with the default option. I prefer to use the match when stationary. There is a reason why. You can click the little information button and it will explain everything. Or you can just watch the video. I explain everything in the video with a demonstration of what it does. System status. This is the diagnostic suite of the Planet3 chip, because we can connect via Bluetooth and we can update the firmware and we can diagnose when something goes wrong. Okay? So long as the Bluetooth works. If the Bluetooth doesn't work, then you cannot even come to this menu. Firmware update. Everything is up to date. If it wasn't, there will be an option here to download and install a new firmware. It takes around 2 minutes and 20 seconds. During that time, it would be ideal if you do not turn off the bike. There are precautions that nothing happens if the bike suddenly loses power, because everything is written into a third partition and then it has to pass a cyclic redundancy check and then it will be written into the main partition. The way you ensure that the bike doesn't turn off is just click a button on the bike, okay, and then it's safe for another 10 minutes. Okay, that's about it, and now you can turn the restriction on. Pay attention to this screen, okay? Once you turn it on, it throws a flag of speed 9.9 in kilometers per hour for 1 second. If you turn it off, it's going to show 4.5. You can do it also on the handlebar, plus, minus, okay? Or even minus, plus, minus, plus. Well, that kind of backfired. So minus, plus, minus, plus. You cannot be in the off mode and then start with a minus key, because it doesn't track the keys, it tracks the status changes of the power modes. So the same thing for turbo. If you're in turbo and you go plus, minus, it won't work. But if you're in turbo and go minus, plus, everything is okay. Okay? Safety mode. If you go under safety mode and turn it on, well, there should be an information here. Whatever, this is a temporary version without the pin. So what does the safety mode do? While the safety mode is on, if the derestriction is on, I can click plus, minus, and the derestriction will be turned off. Once you try to activate it again via the handlebar buttons, nothing should happen. So plus, minus, it will not turn it on. This is a feature for our Italian and French users, or wherever you are, if the police is giving you trouble, because if you're caught with a derestricted e-bike in Italy or France, the fines are up to 3,000 euros and they confiscate your bike and they don't return it to you unless it goes to back to the shop and it's returned to the original factory state and restricted and blah, 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 blah. It can also be used as an anti-stupid children feature, where if you have a teenager at your house and he or she or it rides your e-bike, and you want it to be restricted while they ride it, simply turn on the safety mode. It's going to be pin protected, or it can, basically there's already pin protection because you have to access it from your phone. So that's about it for safety mode. Once the safety mode is turned off, then everything goes back to working properly. That's it. You can go ride your bike. There is also, I should mention, but probably not in this video, there's a God mode, or if you just tap the Planet 3 button, there's a developer mode where, please don't poke around if you don't know what you're doing, where you can select firmwares, and we have all sorts of very nice things that I'm testing over here, because we can actually continually develop the chip, contrary to the other manufacturers. Under the debug menu, there are options that are hidden from the rest. You can use the walk button to derestrict. There are mechanical modes for specialized and things like that, and there are all sorts of parameters that we use for testing. So if something goes wrong, the bike is behaving inappropriately, we can have a WhatsApp call and we can do some diagnostics. Okay, that's about it. Enjoy. Daddy loves you.